Hey guys, welcome back for lesson 5. Sorry it took me so long to get this up. I've had 2 sick kids for several days and still have a sick little boy, but he's finally asleep. So let's see if we can get through this before he wakes up. We're going to talk about smoothing backgrounds, and I am going to start with a black background. Either way, black, white, whatever color you're using, you do it the same way. I'm sorry about the images. I had to go back all the way back to 2011 to even find an image that I actually had a wrinkly background on, because I don't use blankets anymore. I use poly paper, which is a really good thing to use because then you don't have so many wrinkles. You don't have so much work to do. Also, just as a reference, using the correct lighting will help with hiding some of the wrinkles and just makes it a lot easier when you start editing. So but anyway, you can see like little blotches on my blanket where the light is shining through the fleece. It's just a fleece piece of fabric that I purchased. And one of the first things I actually always do in RAW is turn down my contrast. It has nothing to do with smoothing out your background. It's just why that is at -16. I always turn my contrast down. I like to be able to control it to where I want it, and I always feel like my images are always really contrasty when they first come in. We won't even talk about how overexposed it was and why I had to bring it down so far, but so one of the first things I do is I try to darken this before I get into PS if you shoot in RAW. If you don't shoot in RAW, don't worry about it. You can still do everything you need to with a JPEG in Photoshop. So the first thing I do is I just bump my shadows down, and you can start seeing the black background start to change. You just want to be careful that it's not changing your image too much, and this works really well for this one because it's not really changing the images. One of the other one I like to do is lower the blacks, and you can lower the blacks quite a bit. I did lower the blacks quite a bit there, and without really affecting, as long as it's not affecting your image. A way that you can do it without actually touching the subject or anything else is to use your adjustment brush, and this is a really cool little trick, which I actually had already had done it once before. But you would take your adjustment brush, you would make a new adjustment brush. You can't adjust the blacks with your adjustment brush, so that's something you can only do in the normal mode. But here you could definitely deepen the shadows a little bit more, which you can see I already did it at -40. But the way you do that is to just go up here and you hit new, and then you select what you want to change. Make sure everything else is set to 0 if there's nothing else that you want to change, and then you just go over and you paint it on the part of the image that you want to darken, or whatever you wanted to do. You can remove red, you can adjust temperature controls, but for now we're just gonna kind of just fill in some of these other areas that were still a little light. If you happen to get it on her hair, say, and it made it really dark over here in this edge, and you didn't really want her hair looking so choppy, what you can do is go to erase and leave it at -40, and you can just erase the effect right back off of her, and then we no longer have that problem. So that's why the adjustment brush is so cool, because you can take back what you did. I see some other things I'd probably change, but for the sake of this tutorial, we better just move on. So I'm going to go ahead and open the image to PS. Okay, so for the most part, I really got most of the black using just RAW. You want to zoom in really close and just make sure that you you didn't miss any. But really, if you can achieve it in raw, that's super awesome, and it just leaves so much less work for you to have to do. I can't grab that for some reason. Oopsie. Just want to check this corner over here. Yeah, everything looks really good. If you edit on a laptop like I do, one of the best things you can do is adjust your screen back and forth and check over your entire image to make sure that you got it all. And actually right now, if you look really closely right here along her sleeve line, I can see parts that if you printed that would show up very well that it's not actually solid black right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna duplicate the layer, and I am going to select I on my keyboard, which is your eyedropper tool, which is also over here, and you are just going to click on the color that you want the rest of the background to look like. So I'm just going to click over here on the black, and that makes my color palette change to the same color black as what's on the background over here. And then I'm just going to go over here, and I'm going to stay on this layer. I'm going to grab my brush at 100%, and I am just going to paint right along her arm. And I'm not going to be very careful. You can be as careful as you want to. It's obviously going to save you less work in the end, but I want to show you how to use your layer mask with this, so I'm going to kind of mess it up a little bit. See a couple more little spots down here. Still missing a couple little spots right here. Okay, so as you can see, we got her arm, and it's kind of crazy. So we're going to select our adjustment layer and our layer mask right here, and we're going to make sure we're clicked on it, and we are going to grab a black brush, and we are going to just work along the area of her sleeve really carefully so we don't mess up our black. And we're going to get her sleeve back. I'm just going to kind of do a rough little line here, but as you can see, it just makes it really easy to pull it back off. Depending on how bad the image was, how wrinkly your background is, you might have a lot more work to do than just this. And I'm gonna show you without the raw adjustments here in a minute. But as you can see, you can just paint it right back off of the stuff that you didn't want the black on, and make that back of your image that solid black. And again, if you accidentally went too far and erased it off the black, you just need to switch your brush to white and paint it back on. You want to be really careful that your lines stay nice and soft and that you don't get a choppy line here. You want it to stay really nice. Kind of the bad thing about I don't know if you can tell here, it looks pretty good. Sometimes if you had different colors of lighting going on your background, like say you had more of light to the right side and less to the left, when you select the eyedropper tool and you select this color, you're going to want to paint your whole background that color, because what's going to happen is you're going to have like part of your background is going to be one color of black and the other one will be another color of black. So just pick the darkest spot that you want and then work around. I can kind of see a little bit over here where it might be a little bit lighter, and that's okay to me if it's just a tiny bit. You want the definition, but if you're looking at it and you can clearly see the difference between this black and this black over here, that's a problem. So you can go ahead and you can get back on your layer, get off your layer mask and get back on your layer, grab your eyedropper tool, select that darker color. And this is so if you see that happening, that your one color of black is totally different than this color of black, you can then just go ahead and paint the entire image, or, you know, paint around here. I don't know what's wrong with my computer lately, but it's going a little slow. So, and paint around here. And now your blacks are going to be all the same color. Then you can switch back over here to your layer mask. Make your brush black. Make your brush black, sorry. Zoom in, and then we're just going to work around her and get the black off of the subject. You will have to work. I mean, I'm going to take it off her little hairline right here, and you might have to go back through and get really, really close up and remove it off of there. You know, just remember to make your brush bigger and smaller to save yourself some time. Again, if you have a bamboo tablet or plan to invest in one, makes it super awesome and super quick to get through edits like this. I will never go back to a mouse again after getting my bamboo tablet, just because my hand hurts so bad after doing edits like this, just from having to get, it's not the same as drawing, I guess, and it just makes it harder. Obviously you want to get it off of your blanket right around the edges. Okay, so anyway, you guys get the idea. So you're going to remove it completely off of everything you don't want it on. Like I said, you're going to have to get really, really close. 100, 200%, even when it starts to get pixely, that's just fine. You're just going to want to make sure that you don't have this big, see the line? You can see the line around the blanket. You don't want this black line, and you might have to get your brush pretty tiny, but it's all about details, and it's all about them showing up in a print, and they will show up in a print, and you will be able to see it. So you want to make sure you work really meticulously around tiny little spots like this. And I know it takes a lot of time, but it's just part of perfecting that image. Again, so like the blanket, we're going to go up here, we're going to look right up here at her hairline. Hair is so hard. But I mean, for the most part, it looks pretty good at hair. I see some hair kind of fading away right here. Just going to bring it back out a little bit. These little tiny pieces are probably already kind of fading in anyway, but you could remove them. You might have to switch your brush back to white and work back around them a little bit. The other thing you could do is just get rid of some of the wisps too. If they're just being stubborn, you could always do it that way too. But you can kind of see right around here, it needs to be darkened a little bit more. Like I said, it's just about working really meticulously and making sure you didn't miss any of those spots, because when you have a subject against a black background and you print it, you will see all those little gaps and all of that, all those little spots that you missed. So you just really want to work around. It's a lot of switching. Remember to use that X key, and that switches your color palette from the white to the black, and you just work your way around. If you get too far over, switch your color palette back to white, and then you can switch it back to black, and eventually you will be done and you will have a solid black background. And then you can merge your layers together and do all of your edits that you want to the image. So that is the tutorial on smoothing a black background. Hopefully that was helpful. I didn't mean to remove so many of those wrinkles in RAW, but it's really awesome that you can. So if you shoot in RAW, that's a plus for you. Really quick, maybe I can just show you, I mean, that it's just the same if you have an image and you don't shoot in RAW. Mine's going to automatically pull up in RAW because all of these are edited, but I'm trying to find one that I don't have. Let's see. Oh goodness. These are so old. Okay. So yeah, this one was a lot of work for me, and it was actually I did this for the module in the Photography Institute for the one where you had to copy the other image, and this was a big project. But as you can see, if you didn't, I had already made these edits and it saved them, but let's just say my blacks were at 0 and my shadows were at 0. You can really see the background, see all the wrinkles, and see all where the light was coming through. I'm not going to do any other edits. I'm just going to grab this really quick so I can just show you. So let's just say you do shoot in RAW and you don't, in JPEG, and you don't have that RAW ability. It doesn't matter. You can still just come here, hit Control J, select your eyedropper tool, and again, remember that you want your whole background to be the same color of black. So we're just going to grab our brush, B for brush, 100%, and we're just going to go along the whole background, painting it in, not really worrying about getting arms and stuff right now. Get over here in the corner. And actually for this, I needed it just to be his arm, so that's why he's wearing the black shirt. I actually had to paint all of this too, and then I had to take this whole arm and move it up to the upper corner to make it actually look like the exact same image as the other one. The other one, the man had a whole bunch of tattoos down his arm. My husband wasn't going to go that far, I guess. So it was what it was. But yeah, it was a big project. But you can still do it the same way. Grab your layer mask. Make sure you're set to black. If you get too much, let's just say you got a lot of black and you just couldn't really see the baby anymore, you can lower your opacity. And it's going to lower the opacity on everything. But just so that you can see the baby again, get back on your layer mask or whatever your subject is, and you can start painting off the mistake or the effect, and start painting it off. And then you can bring it back up to 100% to check. And, you know, once you can see baby again, you can just keep working around, and again, zooming in really closely so that you're getting those lines. You want to use a nice soft brush, and by that I mean if you come up here, you'll see there's all different of these other sizes of brushness and the hardness of the brush. And you do not want to use a hard brush. You want to use these nice soft brushes when you're painting around, and that way you have a nice soft edge also. And then just keep working your way around and around and around and around until you have all of it removed off of baby, and all of it and your black wrap back in your background all the same color. Sorry, I was just going to show you guys. This was the oh, I can't find it now. Well, this was my before and after for my shop, but yep, that was the end result of all of that hard work. So that pretty much sums it up. Let me know if you guys have any questions. You can always email me or message me via Facebook with any questions that you have. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at lesson 6.